Hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I'm Martina, and I'm here with my esteemed co host. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Bloodline Breakdown. If you are returning, welcome back. If you are here for the first time, welcome, and we're happy to have you here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, so it has been quite an eventful week in wrestling, has it not?
It definitely has. We had a crazy weekend full of wrestling and streams every day. Five, 4 or 5 straight between Thursday-ish, Wednesday. I can't even remember days wise to this point, but yeah, a lot went down. A lot has happened. A lot of
That's
shows
right.
announced, a lot of shows confirmed, a lot of shows happening, switching networks and season premieres and logistics and my oh my, we got some notes.
That's right. We have a lot to talk about. Hey, Daniel Berry. Hey, Brooke. Yes, ma'am. We are tardy, but it's all right. We're gonna thank you for your patience. We're gonna make it work. Thank you for being here. But yes, you're absolutely right, Nick. It is a lot to talk about. So, what better place to start than with Raw? So we know that Raw is what's going on with Raw. Why don't I'll let you tell us, Nick? What's going on with Raw here?
We got the season premiere, I believe next Monday. I think they said it, or this coming Monday on the 9th, which is weird because usually the season premieres are in October whenever the media rights deals end. And that's what I because that's when the Peacock deal started back in 2020 and the Fox deal that back in 2019. But they Fox didn't want SmackDown to be on the new seasons for Fox and their runtime. They wanted to just find something to fill that 8 o'clock spot. So I believe the WWE made additional agreements with them to keep Raw on USA through from September through or October through January because their rights deal technically ends in October. So they
Mm-hmm.
worked that out to keep Raw on USA through January, and then also brought over SmackDown early, given the fact that again Fox didn't chose not to renew a deal with them. So, which I'm not complaining because Fox sucks, always blacking out the screen specifically for either Logan or for Solo, which I don't know why it's just those two, but it seems to be only those two. And then yeah, so the season premiere will be Monday, and again, the season that is going to run from September to January instead of October through October. And then we're going to have another. I'm sure they're going to promote the crap out of it as a season premiere and monumental this and that for the Netflix deal.
Yes, and did I hear that there's going to be a certain return on Raw? My one of my I mean, I don't even know how many ways to say it. My all-time favorite, the first wrestler I can remember ever seeing on TV, one of the greats that I'm glad we still have with us on earth, none other than the excellence of execution, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Bret Hart is going to be there, so I will be seated. That is so exciting to me. I am so
Yes,
glad that he's going to be there. So
yes, it
that's
was. I just saw it. It was just tweeted at 7:20. Um, from Wrestle Ops, and it was announced by Jackie Redmond. So I don't know where it was announced at. Um, but Bret Hart is confirmed to be on the season premiere episode of Raw this upcoming Monday in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, as announced by Jackie Redmond of WWE. And then, of course, Chris is letting us know that Nick Aldis did announce Bayley versus Tiffany Stratton tomorrow night on SmackDown, on the last SmackDown on Fox. And I also saw that earlier today. I think I posted it to Facebook. I've been doing the best I can to stay up with all the NFL stuff that's been going around the last minute moves and roster moves and everything like that before we kick off in about in about 15 or so minutes, 10 minutes or so. So Brooke is here. She just joined me on my Steelers and NFL show, and of course I was poking fun at those ugly Ravens. And I told her not to take that on our wrestling show. So she is.
Don't block us.
I'll behave.
Don't block us, bro. Please don't block us, bro. Don't block us. But we're going to try and keep this a little bit more neutral because football is not yet my forte. Even though I am pretty good, I'm getting better. So yes, it is a lot going on. We've got the NFL season starting. I know you've got WNBA content, but I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit perturbed because I spent a good portion of the day waiting for our tribal chief, as a lot of us did. And when I say waiting for him, I don't mean waiting for him like waiting on him himself, but waiting on Bloomberg to show us to him on YouTube. For those that don't know, Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns were featured on a Bloomberg special today, specifically highlighting leaders in different industries. And of course, if you're going to talk about the leaders in wrestling, of course, you can't talk about that without it being Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, who Bloomberg specifically cited Roman Reigns as being the #1 box office attraction in wrestling, which we already know it is. Can we just get some ones? Can we please this is the first time we have heard our OTC speak in months. I was waiting with bated breath. They said it was going to be 145. 145 came and went. They said it was going to be 235. 235 came and went. They said it was going to be 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock came and went. I'm like, we need you, Roman. Where are you? But finally, Paul and Roman appeared, and it was great. Have you had a chance to see any of that yet? I know you've been busy.
I saw clips and mini clips of the just from, and then your tweet saying about whenever Roman was asked, or the reporter asked, how do you get female viewers and everything, and Heyman just simply said, look at Roman Reigns, and then he replied back with, next question. So he's a humble tribal chief. He might be tired of being humble, but he still remains head and shoulders above everyone. That's the only part that I saw. And then besides that, whenever you were tweeting and said, you were letting me know, you let me know that it was at 145, and then it was delayed, and then you're waiting. So I haven't got to watch it yet. I'm gonna probably watch that probably at halftime, or whenever we're finished up, and as I'm waiting for the game to kick off, and just kind of have it playing. If not tonight, then on my way to work tomorrow, or before work, since I do work at 11. And I already let Brooke know that I don't work this weekend, so no twisting of the arm for the final bell. We can slander Cody into all hours of the night.
Yay!
We do have Henny God.
Wait a minute, hold on real quick, Nick. You forgot to do this in the voice. We got to do the voice. Brooke says, "I love you, Roman," in the Jacob Cartoon voice. I love you, Roman. So if you were not there, please just go back and watch the replay. It is on the Bloomberg Live YouTube channel. And the comments alone were hilarious. The comments, you know how the comments on a live just roll and roll. Yes. And people were cussing them out. It was like OTC, ones in the chat, explicitives, over and over again, like rinse and repeat over and over again, including me from my burner. I was like, where is my tribal chief? I set aside time in my day. We're like, but then again, I know what it is though. They're not slick. We know what it is. They wanted to save the best for last. They had to put him at the end because we know that they saw us in the chat. And I don't blame them. If that was my channel, I'd say, hey, it's a whole lot of people in here waiting for this guy. Maybe we should push it back and have a few more people watching. So I'm just talking, y'all. I don't know if that's really what happened, but that's kind of what it felt like. Because I had my phone charged. I was ready. I'm like, all right, we're gonna be ready. And I'm on Twitter, and I appreciate I believe WP I forgot who it was. I think it was Esme on Twitter. Shout out to Esme on Twitter. She was tagging me to let me know, not just me, but many other fellow members of the Roman Empire, to let us know that it was pushed back. And we were really working together today. We were working together as a team. The Roman Empire, the Bloodline stands, we were working together to keep each other posted about these times. And yeah, we finally saw it. it was perfect timing because, being a tribal mom like I am, I picked Mariah up from school and like mother daughter, like raising a child the way they should, seeing her tribal chief for the first time in months. It was great to hear what he had to say. All jokes aside, it was really nice to see his face and hear what he was talking about and hear him kind of outside of his tribal chief character. Like we know that's who he is, but it was nice to hear a more laid back version of him. So if, for those that did not hear it, and don't worry, I have watched it like twice already. I'll probably go back and watch it again because it's only like 30 minutes, but it was worth it. Paul was talking about, it was nice to hear them talking to people outside of the WWE vortex that don't really watch wrestling like that and they don't really know. The two interviewers, one of them said that they were like a lifelong wrestling fan. And then the female interviewer, she's the one who asked the question, well, how do you keep the female fans engaged? And I was like, oh, bless your heart, sweetie. She's new, but that's okay. She'll be here soon. I have no doubt she'll be back. But if you haven't seen it, go check it out. What's next, Nick? I'm sorry. I could talk about Roman all day. I'm sorry. What else do we have?
Yeah, it's quite all right. Quite all right. We had Henny here. I don't know if he means Haku to be involved. Hakulio. Hi, Coolio. I don't know if that's what he's talking about there. Brooke also just got done blocking people. She also loves Roman as well.
Oh, hey, Jeffrey.
Here.
Glad you got your internet fixed.
Got his internet fixed. Watched some clips on Twitter, and then of course Brooke throwing in the Cody logo, and there is Combat Joe.
Congratulations to you. I see he got followed by John Cena today. Welcome to the club. Congratulations. It's a monumental day for him. That's amazing.
Absolutely it is. It was actually just officially a year and 3 days ago since Cena followed me on Twitter.
Oh man, not you knowing it to the day.
So that's when September 2nd was whenever the next day, the day after that first SmackDown run, whenever he went on that. I mean, what's next though? Continuing with Raw. Given that Raw is in Canada for the season premiere there, does that open the door for Natalya to return? Given that we haven't seen her in quite some time and her contract was up in the air. Also, it was Sonya Deville kind of called out and said, no one on the roster, no one in the locker room currently can touch the stud line and be on the stud line's level. Yes, I'm strictly referring to them as stud line. Point
AKA Pure Fusion Collective.
Yeah,
stud line's way better.
I didn't even have that on my mind, but yeah, the stud line, calling them out, calling everyone out. Also, the way they said no man in the audience, no woman in the locker room. Was that kind of like a Becky Lynch, along with Natalya? Given that Lyra Valkyria is in the mix, Becky comes back, helps her, and we go from there. I mean, that call out seems like they could go down that path.
It could be. I know a lot of people were saying that. That didn't even cross my mind because I thought that she was taking some extended time off. I didn't know that we were expecting her back anytime soon. So I didn't really think about that. But that could be a clever way to slide that in there. And then being in Canada, Natalya does make sense. But have we heard about her signing a new deal?
Well, as far as both of them are currently up in the air with their contract status. That's why that's what Becky Lynch. When Becky Lynch left, it was up in the air because she teased the retirement. It also teased like pushing her documentary out whenever that came out, and then it's pretty much haven't seen anything since then involving her WWE status and contract because it did come up right after WrestleMania. We know Seth Rollins signed, but we don't know if Lynch did sign. I mean, just typing in Natalya WWE, there is one thing that pops up immediately from 2 days ago, teasing that her return. So I'm guessing that is tying into what was said on Raw. I mean, immediately I thought whenever they said the man or no man in the audience, I immediately thought, okay, Becky Lynch, the man, and then went that way. And then, of course, being in Canada, and now we know Bret Hart is going to be there. Does that also bring in Natalya? But that is, we leave that to see on Monday for the season premiere on USA. I mean, and also the entire week on USA not, yeah. So tomorrow is the final episode of SmackDown on Fox. So next week we will have every brand of WWE on SmackDown or on USA.
On USA, right. Now we have heard, okay, so speaking of our travel chief, we had heard he was going to be there, then they took him away, and then people were saying he's going to be back again, took it away. I think he's going to be there. I'm just going to put it out there. I think he's going to be there. When I say think, that means hoping and praying, that means manifesting. That's what that means. What do you think, Nick? Are we going to see our travel chief on the 13th? Because I know if I was trying to push ratings, I would want Roman there. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would want him. I want him there every week, and so we don't have to deal with Mister Crybaby, Nightmare, champion that can be 2.5 years without the title, and all the other slander that's coming to us on Friday night, tomorrow night. But also, WWE is going head to head with Collision tomorrow, and then
That's
next week is the season premiere. So I'm definitely thinking I want to see both weeks. I want to see Jimmy return as well tomorrow, or Jimmy return next week, or them kickstart this Bloodline Civil War with them being next weeks. But I definitely, not that they need it to beat Collision head to head or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, I want to see the Tribal Chief on every episode of SmackDown. Combat says, I wasn't even thinking about Becky. That went over my head. Good point. Brooke, oh, that makes sense why they had Becky winning every belt they had.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning the NXT women's title that she hadn't won before, and then got one last run, and then had one more run in her with the women's title, and that led into Liv.
Speaking of Cody, I'm sure you have seen this. I just have to put this out there. There are a lot of lawsuits going on right now in wrestling. So if you guys haven't seen it, today it dropped that your favorite champion and mine, insert heavy sarcasm here, Cody Rhodes is being sued. He has been sued over his American Nightmare likeness logo trademark. That's one. AEW, I'm sure you know about this. They are being sued by Kevin Kelly? And the Tate twins, not to be confused with the other ones, the wrestling, aka the boys that used to be with Dalton Castle. Gotcha. They're being sued by them as well. And that's the two. I feel like there was another lawsuit that I heard about too, but that was definitely the top two that kind of have been buzzing. What are your thoughts on that? I did read a little bit more into it about the Cody one, and of course, because I'm nosy, I just had to see it. And I did find it interesting. If you look into it, it's floating around Twitter that apparently there is a band that's called American Nightmare. And from what I gather, like the synopsis of it is that there was an agreement between Cody and this band to allow him to, basically for them to amicably use the name and likeness, but there were some stipulations in place. And the band is suing him, saying that he violated those agreements that were previously agreed upon. So, as much as I don't really care for him as champion, I don't wish ill will on him. I hope that works out for him. But that could be kind of interesting, seeing how that goes, seeing how, basically his whole brand now is the American Nightmare. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I just quickly looked it up because I haven't seen this. My timeline on Twitter has been mostly has been filtering into NFL mode with the season coming back and everything. So I'm trying to keep the wrestling and everything flowing, and then of course with WNBA and all that stuff. So I just looked it up real quick, and yeah, it popped up right away. Wrestle Talk.
Can you put that on the screen if you can?
Yeah.
If it's not too much trouble.
Absolutely. Hopefully, my
because I just saw this like an hour ago. So not that I'm some legal scholar. Allegedly, of course, I feel like I should put that out there. Allegedly, of course, this is what I read in my synopsis to kind of educate myself for what's going on here. I thought it was very interesting.
The Cody Crybabies, and then is it his logo too?
Yes. From what I read, it was the trademark, the logo, just like the overall likeness of the use of the phrase American Nightmare and the whole image and likeness of that logo and all that.
Yeah, so we see right here, the first one that pops up there is from Wrestle Talk, and then there's a whole bunch of other ones within, all there's one within an hour, but it does say against Cody Rhodes, WWE, and Fanatics. So Fanatics, of course, is the
Mhm.
shop partner and everything for WWE, and that's where the titles go, and that's how they connect to the NBA, the NFL, the for college football as well. Yeah, it says filed by Wesley uh, Isold, who is a musician and heads of a band called American Nightmare. No idea like what it all goes into. And I mean, it is kind of funny that what um, Dustin let Cody have it and everything, and then now all of a sudden a band
Mhm.
is getting involved. So that's kind of I'll have to. My laptop probably can't handle
Oh, I'm sorry.
this right
I'm
now.
sorry.
No, it's completely okay.
Well, I'll kind
Uh,
of give you like the synopsis, because I also read this article. Is that apparently this band has been using this? It sounds very similar to like a for those that may remember a few years back, the lady that had the bridal shop that sued Beyonce over the use of Blue Ivy. It seems kind of similar in that this band has been using it for years and years. That this is not new. That they had an agreement in place, like I said, and a payment was made, and like I said, this was per Twitter. But I did read that article about it. I just thought it was interesting. I don't know all the logistics about it, but it'll be interesting to see what more information unfolds from that. But then, as far as like the AEW lawsuit, have you kind of familiar with that one with the Kevin Kelly?
I have it.
That
All
one.
these. I thought Logan Paul was the only one that gets sued these days for Logan Paul and Prime and bogus lawsuits. I thought they only came his way really.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we won't go into it too much, but just everybody protect your stuff. Don't steal people's stuff. You know, don't be libelous or slanderous unless it's against Cody. But anyway, I digress. Moving on.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, like you said, we have. Oh, and how could we forget? Tomorrow for AEW is the go home show because they have All Out this weekend. That's going to
Yes.
be exciting.
Yes, it will be. They I the only I mean I saw I've seen a couple matches and everything promoted, and they're doing the All Star 8-man tag match, which features all four or all eight champions that AEW has. It seems like they have more than eight, but it's Bryan
Yeah.
Danielson and the World Championship, the TNT, the Continental, the Intercontinental or International. All the titles are going to be um, in one match. And I saw someone tweet the graphic out and say, "Well, this is enough to make me watch Collision over SmackDown." I thought, "Come on now, be serious. Like don't do that. Tell me when I'm telling lies. You're telling lies." But I'm excited to see them go head to head, but also excited to see what WWE pulls out of the works just to really stick it to AEW since they know that they don't have to try hard to beat Collision, but just to see the pettiness that we know Triple H does have towards them.
100%, absolutely, for sure. There is that match, and one of the match that I'm not gonna lie, they really did it for me last night on Dynamite. If anyone saw Dynamite, the basically Hangman Page set Swerve's childhood home on fire, quite literally. uh, not being sarcastic, like literally lit it on fire. And I'm not gonna lie, they got me. I'm like, doggone it, now I've got to block out my whole Saturday because we know how this goes. Block out my whole Saturday to watch All Out. I'm being sarcastic, but their pay-per-views are quite lengthy. So if you've got the time and the patience, their pay-per-views usually deliver. But I am looking forward to seeing that. I know that's not Bloodline related, but there are members of the Bloodline in AEW, so it's somehow I feel like it's just gonna
Yeah,
roll.
yeah. So wrestling news, wrestling worthy. I did see that they're now calling it there. It was a steel cage match, and now it is being deemed an unsanctioned lights out steel cage match. So that makes me think: is it going to be the main event since it's lights out? And they'll go until they physically have to turn the lights in the arena out. I will be watching it but not on Bleacher Report. I will find other means to watch it. Sorry, TK, but
Who would do such a thing? Who
I'm
would do this?
bring
Nick,
your
I,
stuff
I
to
am
Max.
appalled.
Bring your stuff to Max, and you won't have to worry about that. I will. And of course, I mean finding a watch along to watch it on. That's what I'm referring to.
Of course. I was going to say, like, surely you meant just watching it at your friend's house, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Going to a movie theater or figuring it out. Dave and Buster's, whatever they wherever they're showing them these days. Jeffrey says, "Let's hope nobody drinks
Oh
blood."
my.
Oh Lord.
Well, I don't know, Jeffrey, because last night we did see MJF licking some of Daniel Garcia's blood. They really like consumption of blood over there. They really do. Which kind of a tie in. You know, I can tie anything into my comments that I'm watching a link. No, no, no. We do not condone such behaviors. That's not what he meant. He meant he is going to buy it from Fight TV or Bleacher Report or one of the sanctioned platforms.
Yeah, YouTube.
You do. That's right. That's right. That's right. YouTube, of course. Oh man, that's such a good
This is
analogy. Crash out season. It really is because we're seeing, and honestly, that's two feuds that I do think both of those are similar in that it's not even about a title. It's just pure hatred, just
yes.
disdain and malice and hatred is the only word I can think of.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and I will say it's the same thing. I'm trying to think the one what I'm trying to think what pay-per-view that was. Um, it might have been whatever the Texas death match of Swerve and Hangman.
Oh, I
Was
had to
that
turn the TV off. I
Full
couldn't
Gear?
finish
I
it.
think it was last year.
I believe it was Full Gear. I blocked it out. I had to turn the TV off. I could not finish it. Did you watch the whole thing?
I remember I was standing in a sheets the weekend of, and I watched their promo from Dynamite leading into that, and I thought, well, yep, this is it. This is the moment that says you're going to watch this and then go buy the pay-per-view immediately. And I watched it. I was sitting in sheets waiting for my food. I watched the clip from Dynamite and then instantly bought the pay-per-view. And I bought the pay-per-view, spent the full amount on Bleacher Report, and I was seated and I watched the whole thing, and that was quite an interesting match,
Ooh.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot going on over there, and I believe I see that I believe we've got Moxley and Darby Allin starting a feud. So as if there could not be two people who bleed more frequently, they put the two top leaders in the business head to head. That's going to be terrifying. I'm going to be rooting for Darby because I really like Darby with his crazy self. God knows what he will do. If there, he is. Speaking of, the cat with 9 lives, he is definitely that one. That's going to be interesting for you, Daredevil versus Crazy Man. So that'll be interesting. But speaking of blood, with Marina Shafir, that's right, Jeffrey. Which is interesting that they have him with like a female partner now. I think that's really interesting. Even though I am glad to see her back because she was gone for a long time. But speaking of blood and guts and such, that was one of the things that Paul and Roman did touch on the event today. The interviewer was asking, on Netflix, are we going to see more blood and guts? And they didn't say guts. He said like blood and things. I don't remember the other word he used, but basically referring to shenanigans, schmexual content, and things of that nature. And Roman specifically said that he is more of a fan of the PG content. Which I personally like myself because it's more family friendly and I'm a softie. But of course, we know we're going to see more edginess on Netflix. But I have to ask you, Nick, how edgy are we going to get on Netflix?
If they drag out this Rhea, Liv, and Dom, and Jey Uso, and Damien,
Oh Lord,
drag it out till January with teasing it, and then we see that in January, I think it's gonna get crazy. Not crazy or insane crazy, but it's gonna get crazy. And I think they're gonna be smart about it. I think they are definitely going to be smart about it. And this one, it's PG to an extent. They did just have a meeting about covering, they're gonna try to limit swearing leading up to for the rest of the year, before they get to Netflix and everything. I know the big meme is like who's going to come out and say drop the first F bomb, and the TikToks going around with please welcome Seth, and then F bomb Rollins and all that stuff. And, I mean, given the fact that Pat McAfee is going to be back for Raw on Netflix, I think he's going to come out and he's going to like make it seem like I let it slip, like he does on like he did whenever he first got over to ESPN, and they kind of did that thing. I see it going like that, but I mean, as the non PG era, the non PG level stuff coming to an end, and just going crazy on Netflix, it's gonna be interesting and fun to see. I don't know what to expect, but I'm ready for it.
Not tribal effing chief. I am, maybe I'm naive here, but just purely thinking from a business standpoint, if they're in their biggest boom period, and pretty much the whole purpose of that Bloomberg interview was basically centered around Netflix. That was the primary focus of the conversation, like the convergence of tech and sports. And the fact that they've gotten to this point heavily by being PG, by cleaning things up, by taking away the wet t-shirt contest and all the crazy things they used to have during the Attitude Era, I have a hard time believing that they're going to just undo all of that and go hog wild, because I've said this so many times, they can't alienate parents buying toys for their kids. They can't alienate certain advertisers and certain, marketing companies that just aren't going to go for certain things. And, you've got the sponsors, like you have the C4, you have the Slim Jim, you have Cricket Wireless, like all of these more like family friendly brands. So I do think it is, they're going to ramp it up some, but I think some people have this in their mind that it's just going to turn into like a free for all. It's just going to turn into it's not going to turn into like a free for all. I don't think. Like, I think it will be edgier, but they can only do but so much, because like I said, they've gotten the product to such a point where they're reaching more people than ever before. I don't think they would want to alienate that. In fact, you want to reach more people. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do get it and see that train of thought and everything. This one, combat, I don't think we're getting the F bombs. Netflix, you can. That's the whole point of, like, with the comedy specials that go live on Netflix and everything. They don't bleep anything out. And that so I think that's gonna be the edgier extent that we see. A little more edgy to expect. Yeah, Logan was talking about this with Dom, and whenever they were talking about briefly, and he's going to know a little bit more, probably, working his contract around being able to go to Netflix, and because he's talked about that, he wants to go to Raw whenever they do switch over. Less commercials. It's going to bring less commercials, if any commercials at all, because they don't need to have regular commercials like we see on cable, which is going to tie into, like you said, about the sponsors and everything. The C4 and the Slim Jim, they are primarily used for ads on PLEs and on Peacock, so that's going to go tie into that. So that's going to come up to the point where when Peacock and their deal ends, and then where do they move the PLEs? Do they move the PLEs to Netflix as well? Do they stay on Peacock for that sense? But we also, like you said, trying to stay in a happy medium to not like push the family part of it away. We still have SmackDown on cable, so they can kind of stay that way and do the ads on there. Who knows what we're going to see for the breaks or the commercials or whatever on Netflix, because it's still going to be a live event. People are still going to be there, so they have to take the time to do all the normal stuff, the DX chops and the this cam and that cam, and they'll find something, I'm sure, to either do more ad reads for like C4 or their regular sponsors, and then just kind of do the same thing, like run more video packages, I'm sure. But I think it's going to change, but they're going to change in a smart way. They're not going to go crazy, insane, over the top that they're going to have people wanting to not be sponsors for them anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even think it's going to be as quote unquote edgy as AEW. And then something you said, that's my main thing that I want them to address that they have not addressed is the PLEs. I don't even really like Raw, to be 100% real with you. I've said from day one, I would rather see SmackDown go to Netflix because I don't really like Raw like that. I like SmackDown. So to me, it's cool and it's amazing for the business, but I'm not like chomping at the bit. I'm salty. In fact, I would prefer it be SmackDown, but it's cool. It's cool. It is what it is. But yes, tell us, where are these PLEs going to go? Are they going to stay on Peacock? Are they going to somehow be on Netflix? Because I feel like I haven't heard anything either way. Have you
Yeah,
heard anything either way?
just from what Triple H has said, that whenever they do the Netflix deal, 80% of the world will get will get access to Raw, to SmackDown, to NXT, to the PLEs, and that's the 80% outside of the U.S., Canada, and then I believe Mexico as well. So the Peacock deal goes until 2025 because they signed a
Oh,
5-year deal in 2020. So that goes until October of 2025, I believe. And then from
okay.
there, I mean, who knows what we're going to see if they work it out, because Peacock and NBC is also, in that same realm as USA. So who knows if they worked it out with USA whenever they took SmackDown to USA, if they're like, hey, we'll negotiate in good faith for Peacock whenever that comes up, and give more time and thought to that. And then who knows if they're going to eventually take everything to Netflix, or what that's going to look like. I'm curious to see how Netflix handles the mass amounts of streaming live that WWE is going to do. Hopefully the system doesn't crash. So this one, they're testing this now, with bringing more live events to Netflix. The roast of Tom Brady was a live event. They just had a hot dog eating contest on Netflix the other day. Joey Chestnut and some other hot dog eating person. I didn't watch it, but it popped up and said streaming live on Netflix. And then, of course, in November, we're going to see the first ever live sport event in Jake Paul and Mike Tyson on Netflix. So that's going to be a good test to see how see what it looks like, how they do their commercials and ads and everything for that. Given that it is a boxing pay-per-view, but now it's free on Netflix for the millions and millions of subscribers that they
10
have,
million.
and millions.
No, I'm sorry.
So yeah, it's going to be fun to see what they do and which way they go. Peacock, and there's going to be so many moving parts and everything. Given that NXT is moving to the CW, and then what are they going to do after that? I mean, that the CW is technically part of Warner Bros. Discovery, so it's like they're now intruding on AEW territory, and that can't make Tony Khan happy at all.
Mm. Yes, I did notice this, Jeff. That was one that I thought that was really cool. I think I sent you this, Nick. I was like, oh, look there. I love how they laid out explicitly like who was doing what. Like Joe
Yeah.
Tessitore is play by play, and
Yep.
Wade Barrett is analyst,
Yep.
and Alicia Taylor is the announcer. Like I think that's cool that they're doing a good job of building brand awareness, like who does what. So you can familiarize yourself with these people, so that it's smart that they're doing that, because you're probably going to lose some people, or they're going to gain millions more, of course, by going to Netflix. But I'm sure there are some people that might kind of lose track. I've been saying, like, I need a chart, like where is what going to be, because over the next few months you got, okay, Raw is here, like we said it earlier, like Raw is there, like everything is moving. So it's a good thing that they're like building up your likeness for these people, so you're like, hey, I want to see more of these people. And when I say these people, I mean the staff, the ring announcers, the referees. We want to see them, we want to know where they're going and keep up with them, in addition to the talent. I think that's really cool. They're like making it more holistic, for lack of a better word. Like,
Yeah.
I like that. I feel like that's something they should have done a while ago, but it's really cool to see it happening now.
Yeah, putting that extra level into the production and everything, and with all the changes that they are making on the broadcast team, with Michael Cole and Corey going to SmackDown, and then Wade and Tessitore going to Raw, and then of course that's only going to go until January, and then
Right.
Cole and Pat are going to come back, and then is it going to be a 3-man crew on SmackDown, or are they going to use Wade Barrett kind of back and forth for PLEs going forward? Because Pat doesn't usually do PLEs. Even whenever he's there during the off season for football. It is definitely going to get crazy with all the different moves and everything. And then, of course, are they going to do bring more NXT talent up right before we go to Netflix, and then going into WrestleMania season, and then keeping the rosters that we see now, and then are they going to do a draft? And of course, the Netflix people are going to, because they did that a couple years ago. They had the war rooms with USA execs and then Fox executives, and they made it seem like they were picking the rosters and everything, and that's why Roman went number 1 overall. Fox wanted him, and like USA wanted Seth, and they wanted Becky, and then Becky was on SmackDown. And it was all a lot of fun. I love that part of it because it brings that real sport level of everything to it. And they did the same thing with bringing in the press conferences and the face-to-faces and all of that stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of moving pieces, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see.
That's exactly right. And Combat Jones, you are 100% accurate. I am going to, if Roman, if they say Roman's going to be on Raw tomorrow, then doggone it, I'm watching Raw. I am going to watch what he watches because I know it's going to be a good show. Let's just be real. You know it's going to deliver. You know it's going to be worth your time. You're not going to be sitting there at 11 o'clock like, well, that was weird. Time for bed. Like, no, like you know it's going to be good. So absolutely, and they know it too. Let's be all the way real. They know it too. You best believe. I highly doubt that Netflix was like, no, we don't want Roman on here. Like, they want the tribal chief. Am I right?
They're pulling that switch of we want Roman on Netflix, and I guarantee you that was part of why they took SmackDown to USA, because USA likes Cody. We can assume they like Cody, and they would be okay with if they don't have Roman, they can have Cody.
Fair trade to me.
Which is I mean, and then you got. I mean, just thinking about like who just from the posters and everything that we've seen, a lot of Solo and the rest of the Bloodline were advertised for Raw, and they could move and switch out the pieces and everything like that. And who knows if they actually keep the draft going forward, if they kind of end that brand split, so to speak, and they still have Raw and SmackDown, but they just mix the roster and let everyone go all over. Which to me, that's more confusing than just doing the draft and not moving anyone around. I mean, there were small moves and everything, and of course, people that don't like deep dive and pay that like super close attention are gonna be like, well, no one really even moved. It's like, well, there were teams that moved and everything like that, but at the end of the day, it's like they knew what they were doing and not making it a big deal, but just being like, hey, it's a big deal because it's around the same time as the NFL draft. So we'll see more of a draft, I think, though, which I'm pumped for. The hot dog.
Ooh, Jeff. Ooh, how do y'all? I mean, respect to people who do it because they've got stomachs of steel. But I can't watch it. It makes me feel funny to watch this. They dunk them in water and it's all messy. I can't.
I only saw the only part I saw about it was that Joey Chestnut ate 83 hot dogs in 1 minute.
Hold on, 83 hot dogs in one. Oh my God! Is he living? Did he make it?
Hey, I don't know how he does it, but he's the Ric Flair of hot dog eating contests. So,
my goodness. Woo, that's a lot to eat in your life, let alone in a minute. Good grief.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a record-setting performance.
I should hope so. My goodness.
I couldn't believe it either. I saw that on Twitter, so I don't know how true it is. But yeah, that's the extent that I saw of the hot dog eating contest there, Jeffrey. Brian and Corey one last time on commentary. Byron and Corey one last time on commentary.
I like Byron backstage.
He's better.
Doing so good.
He's better backstage. When I think of him on commentary, I can't not but think about him in the pandemic era. When he was in the empty arena and Stone Cold was saying, "Give me a hell yeah," and then Byron just stood up and said, "Hell yeah," and he's better backstage. Heard Wade might be coming come back to the ring. Not sure how true that is, seeing him and Drew. But I mean, I could see that too. I mean,
Well, Nigel McGuinness went back in the ring, and they're kind of like contemporaries. So,
never
hey,
say never.
the right amount of
John
coin.
Cena will be on the first episode of Netflix, so it's gonna be a star-studded shit. Yep, I mean, you know it. You know they're gonna bring out Cena, Roman. I wouldn't be surprised if we see other big returns, and pushes for that. They're gonna bring all the big guns for Netflix, at least for the first few episodes. I can absolutely believe that. Martina, is he living? Is he breathing?
Yes, like, is this man alive? Did he make it through?
83 hot dogs in a minute is apparently light work for Joey Chestnut. So
Feel like that guy on YouTube that says, oh, my stomach bubbling. That's what I hear. I hear that voice when you say 83 hot dogs. My goodness. That's but somehow even so, I mean, wow. I'm just wow. Flabbers are gasted. I have no words. Flabbers are gasted. Woo, that's a lot of hot dogs. My goodness. All right. Well, how do you follow that up? How do you follow up?
I mean, we SmackDown and Collision are head to head tomorrow, and then the next time we see AEW and WWE head to head is on, of course, October 1st. The season, I guess that would be the season premiere or the debut of NXT on the CW, and then of course Dynamite is on that Tuesday, I believe, because of MLB playoffs. And that's going to be in Chicago, in Rosemont, Illinois. Sorry, not technically Chicago, but basically Chicago. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you know, you
They're
know.
going to cheer for him like it's Chicago, so we're going to call it Chicago.
Yeah, CM Punk will be there on that Tuesday. And then the following week, that will be in St. Louis. Randy Orton will be on NXT that following week, so who knows what else they pull out for NXT. And that week, I don't know if they're going to be head-to-head again the following week on the 8th, but I do know that, the first is going to be CM Punk. They're going to be head-to-head, which is just kind of funny to see CM Punk, trying to be the one that started the wars, and then now he's fighting for the other side, and it's not really a war, not even close. And then, of course, that goes into NXT moving over, and then Roman, will he be on SmackDown tomorrow? We kind of already hit on that, but do we see Jimmy return this week and Roman next week, or both this week, both next week? We finally see. And then Monday on the season premiere, do we get the start, the Solo showing up and interfering with Jay? I mean, they save that for Bad Blood. I mean, there's so many moving pieces right now, and it's with football coming up, WNBA heating up. It is, my brain's moving a mile a minute with all the different scenarios and fantasy bookings and trying to stay up with this person and that person. But I mean, definitely want to see a Jimmy return, a Roman return, as well as them finally get involved with Jay and lead to what we know is coming.
I will say something, going back to that Bloomberg, there were a lot of, for an astute Bloodline fan, someone who picks up on these things, someone like myself, of course. There were a couple things that he said that I was like, now why would he say that? And if you were watching, which I'm sure you guys were, because you're the ones, of course, let me know what you guys thought about this. And I'm sorry if I have a lisp today. I have a new Invisalign, so I feel like Daffy Duck. So I apologize if I sound like, that's what I feel like. It feels, if you've ever had braces or Invisalign, it feels like you have a whole horseshoe in your mouth when you're trying to talk. So sorry about that. But two things that were said. Oh my gosh, of course, as soon as I'm going to say it, the thought went out of my head. Okay, something you just said triggered my thought. Okay, Roman was talking about, he talked specifically about Jay, which I thought was interesting, because the interviewer was asking, like, oh, you have your real life cousins with you. And I thought it was interesting, out of all his cousins, all his family, he specifically mentioned Jay. he's like, oh yeah, of course, because the interviewer called him by his government name. Like she literally said, your government name is Joe, and what's it like working with your cousins? And of course, he kind of stepped out of kayfabe for a second. Jay's real name is Josh, and of course, we grew up together. Giving backstory for those in the audience, because for those that don't know, this was given to just like a general audience, so kind of getting people up to speed that don't follow the product. But I thought it was interesting that he talked about Jay when, first of all, we haven't heard him talk in months, mind you. And the first person you're talking about out of the bloodline was Jay. I thought that was very interesting. I also feel like that was intentional because Paul, we know as consumers of the product, we know that Roman Reigns has not said a word or tweeted, Instagrammed, TikToked much of anything since April. And Paul specifically mentioned that. So I'm like, oh, this is very intentional. Like they're good. They are so good the way they keep us waiting and keep us watching. And he pointed that out that, out of all the social media impressions, Roman Reigns has more than any other WWE superstar. And he made a point to say, and this is not having said a single word since April. And I'm like, ooh, they're so good. Like we know that this is what they're doing, but just to hear him say that in public is like, I know they're doing it and they still got me, right? Like, and we knew that they were doing it and we're still watching. And he's just that good. Like, he's just that good, Paul was also quoting John Cena. As we know, he's quoted a couple times saying, Roman Reigns is the GOAT, and talking about how he's the needle mover and how the stock price went from what something like $17 to $100 and something dollars, like all
Yeah.
these crazy numbers that Roman has pulled. And I just thought that was very interesting. That I think those two things were intentional: the whole silence, and then that he mentioned Jay. Is that am I reading? Am I thinking too much? Am I overthinking it? Or
I
is there?
definitely I'm picking up what you're picking up. Given
You know what
that
I'm saying? You see?
when Roman or I mean Roman kind of was left in the middle of being, or Jimmy was with him, and then kind of like was defaulted to go into with Solo. So Roman doesn't know where that is. We haven't really seen an interaction with those two since even before WrestleMania. So
That's
that has
right.
come up in the air, and then with Jimmy getting exiled from that bloodline, like we don't know what Roman is going to say to him or say about him. And it is funny that he maybe is kind of leaning into that face turn and talking about Jay first to kind of go back to him first, since that's where it started, and then go back to Jimmy, and then go from there with continuing the next chapter of the greatest novel in wrestling.
That's right. And I also took it as a little bit of a way to kind of let us know that they're watching him. Because, like someone mentioned Gia, like the whole thing with like him and Rhea, I took that as a way to fans, like don't think that we don't see. We see what you see. We're watching him just like you are. We see what's going on here with him being more worried about chasing Rhea and hyping up Sammy than even the Intercontinental title, because he had that showdown with Braun Breaker on Raw, but at the end of the day, he was still yeeting with Damian and Rhea. So let's be all the way real. Are we going to see Jay hold that Intercontinental title?
If they did, it would be a legit shock. It would be out of left field because I mean Braun Breaker is doing really good things right now, and if they did it right where they could still make Braun look strong and winning, and then also have Jay look strong enough to then lead into him getting speared into next year, and then him exiting from Raw and then showing up on SmackDown with Roman and doing it that way. Um, or even like, the ref stoppage, then Jay doesn't actually lose, and then you could go back and forth and then say like, hey, I'm still owed a title shot eventually down the line, whatever. Um,
I like that.
I mean, I don't see anyone beating Braun right now for that title. I think that's as good as his. And like you said, there's never been a member of Jay's family that has beat a member of Braun's family. So my money's on Breaker. Just the fact, and also the fact that we are now seeing Rhea wear Jay's shirts and say yeet, and he's stepping into being their partner, and and all that stuff that we don't want to see there. Jeffrey says, I just watched the marching band play Cody's song on YouTube. It showed up on my feed, so I gotta say that they sounded pretty good.
I heard that. I apologize. I have the sniffles. I heard that, and I said this before. I think the marching band director needs a talking to, because they sounded good, but out of all the people that I just feel like these students' talent could be better used playing Roman's theme or literally anyone else's theme.
Yeah,
Could have been
no
literally
doubt.
anyone else. Anyone
No
else
doubt.
on the roster. I'm a hater, but they did sound good though. That they sounded good, but I was like, that's a unique choice of theme song to play. Jeffrey, please, why would you please don't speak this over us? Like this comment right here, sir. Now why don't speak this over us? Because they're just gonna delve deeper. We're trying to avoid this Gia rabbit hole. Please don't speak this over us. It's not that I don't want Jay to hold it. I do. I want Jay, honestly, I would be glad for him to have the speed title. Hold some kind of gold, some kind of singles title. That would be fine. But I don't want him to do it like this, because he needs to be focused on getting back to the bloodline, getting back to being Usi, not with Sammy. I don't want him to get Judgment Day. No, that's not his wheelhouse. He doesn't need buns. He needs a title and his family. Isn't that right, Nick?
Yeet. He also said, I wonder how Roman feels about Drea.
Right,
I,
right. Gia, Drea,
uh,
Drea.
Roman, with being a face now, he's going to lean into that comedic relief part. They're going to be cracking jokes to Jay whenever they do reunite and everything. I can't wait for that more than anything. Probably, I hope the Roman Reigns Jordan, that is coming this year. They had it on hold, but now they are. It's either going to be sometime this year or into 2025, I do believe.
I would love that.
In
In
January.
January. Oh,
Yep.
just in time for my birthday. I love this. I have
Yeah.
never owned or worn a pair of Jordans in my life, but what better time to start than with my Tribal Chief shoes? I would love this. That's why we need y'all to like and subscribe and share and engage just like you're doing. Those, if you're here and you're engaging and you're commenting, thank you so much. That's why we need you, so that we can get some tribal ones.
Yeet.
Yeet. They're definitely gonna sell out fast.
Bionic itself. Yeet. Yep. We already went over that one. Braun isn't losing anytime soon. I think we're on the same page there. The only part the crowd didn't whoa.
Because they knew. Because they were like, now why would they do that to these poor children? Bless
But
their
yeah,
heart.
we see nightclub where Roman Reigns song is playing and everyone got their ones up.
Right.
What's up, Manj?
Hi, Monj.
Monj.
Russo.
Monj.
The wise Monj.
Yeet.
Yeet. Mr. All Days Off said, no yeet. I know, right? I do miss Jimmy with his no yeet. Or what? A lot of people forget that Jimmy is actually the one, kind of like Dustin Rose is the one who started the American Nightmare. Jimmy is actually the first one who started yeet, and then Jay later adopted it because remember, Jimmy would be like yeet, and Roman would like give him the death stare. He'd be like, no. He got shamed out of yeet, basically. Well, guys,
we got the yeet, no yeet, yeet.
Right. Y'all got to keep this going. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Yeah, this was a we hit on basically everything that I can think of going on right now with the world of wrestling, with everything else that I mean, the NFL is heating up, and that's basic
economics.
Oh man, that's pretty much all I can think of with the world of wrestling and the breakdown of USA and Raw and Netflix and and CW and NXT. And how do you feel about Julia challenging Roxanne for? I'm
I
she's reportedly going to be the face of the women's division in NXT. So I see Roxanne losing and then coming up to the main roster in a late September call up alongside Trick Williams, and then that being the last part of NXT 2.0 to get up to the main roster, and then we're going to see the restart of the Black and Gold NXT.
You think they'll put it on her right away like that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like, as someone who is not familiar with her, I don't really like that idea because I want to get to know her. I feel like, now I know the diehard people who watch New Japan like every day know who she is. I know who she is through Twitter. And what I saw looked great. But I personally feel like it would be, to me, I feel like it would be more impactful if we got to know her more. Like, but then again, I know she doesn't speak much English. I know that was kind of a caveat. But I've heard she's a beast in the ring. So I would love to see, her in-ring work and like show us more, like show us why she is so incredible, to kind of make it that much more meaningful. Because you know how I feel about making titles meaningful. I hate hot potatoing titles. I'm like, I'm really big on that. Like, if this is the most prestigious title, then you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like, thank you, Jeffrey.
I agree. I definitely see your point as well, along with Jeffrey there. Jordan Grace opening challenge on NXT next week as well. Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. But if it is on whenever they switch over to the CW, that's not until October 1st. So we would have some time
that's true.
to see her in the ring and everything. And then also, I mean, I wouldn't mind that, she could, I don't know how, like, you have her debut, she comes right to Roxanne. And then again, Tuesday on NXT, goes right after Roxanne, knocks out Chelsea Green, and then goes right to Roxanne's face and, grab the mic and said whatever she said. So you could
spoke?
Yeah. I think it was like a couple words, but I saw the video on Twitter. I mean, I guess you could have her lose that first one and then push it to Halloween Havoc on the 28th. Of course, I'm just saying that because it's going to be in Hershey and I'm going to be there. But I mean, new network on the CW can be a new start, new era, and then give it a week or two, and then Roxanne can come up to the main roster.
It's true.
And have a good night, everyone. Yeet. Jordan Grace. Poor Chelsea.
I know, poor Chelsea. Yeah, poor Chelsea.
You say you need CW. Mic drop. oh, that's okay. She said you, me, CW. So
dang.
On the debut of the CW, that makes more sense.
Well, they said keep it simple.
Yeah, that is true.
To the point.
But I don't have anything else to add. So
that's about it. We went a little over an hour, which honestly for us is quite short.
Yeah. Keeping it on point here. So that will probably not be the case tomorrow. So if everyone wants to see that my
extended
arm
version,
the extended version, my arm being twisted. We will be back for SmackDown tomorrow for the watch long, the final episode on Fox, and then also the final bell, which will be immediately following SmackDown. And again, I'm off tomorrow. We can go into all hours of the night, and then of course college football all day Saturday. We got football tomorrow. We got football on Sunday. So thankfully, TK was smart and did not put that. That's probably why he probably figured he's better off competing against college football than he is on the first day of NFL being on Sunday. That's probably why they had All Out on Saturday versus having it on Sunday. That's just my thought. But it's going to be another fun weekend of wrestling and of football.
That's right.
And
absolutely.
Big things to come with, like you said, you're not into football just yet, but big things to come with partnering with and working with Jason over at Mike Drop Sports. We're gonna get him back into wrestling as well. LOL. TK knows he can't compete.
No. It's because he was listening when we told him to stop having those pay-per-views on Sunday nights that are 40 days and 40 nights. That's why, y'all. That's why he moved it to Saturday. He was just listening to the fans, right? Isn't that right? Let's be
Wink,
positive.
wink,
Wink,
nudge,
wink.
nudge.
Wink, wink,
Um,
nudge, nudge.
this part is true as well. The Cons do own the Jags, so so Shad probably did veto it and said, "Hey, we gotta Sunday. I mean, Sundays are for football, so that's what it boils down to." So, they know Sundays for football, not for wrestling. He has 9 matches
None. Oh,
now.
for sure. Oh, that's
Now,
nothing.
and
That's
he's
light
gonna
work
add.
for it.
We're gonna get 6 matches all alone by itself during 0 hour. They're gonna announce 4 tomorrow night for 0 hour, 2 or 3 for 0 hour tomorrow, and then in the kickoff leading into it, they're gonna announce 2 more, and then by the time we get to 0 hour, we're gonna end up with 4 more. So they're either gonna add the mix of that number that I said, all on 0 hour, or split it and then add, like, I see 3 more being added to the main show, and so
Minimum.
that would be 12 on the main show, and then I see a total of probably 4 on 0 hour, ending in 16. I don't see how they don't do 16 or 17 matches.
Oh, absolutely.
We just had a pay-per-view 2 weeks ago, so I don't know how they end up doing it. And then look, WWE isn't going to have a whole pay-per-view for a whole month. So you like what you like, you watch what you watch. But I will be seated, of course, watching tomorrow. Definitely not on a stream or anything like that.
Gonna have a whole lot of seatedness in the next few days, huh? You got game after game, banger after banger after banger. A lot of content, making content and watching content.
A lot of it. I mean, man loves no sense matches. Aubrey gonna be ref.
Please don't wish it. Jeffrey, stop wishing this evil on us. Do they have any other referees over there besides Aubrey? Like, is there any other referee employed? Please.
What is a lights out cage match? That is a good question. I was wondering that too, and it's also apparently unsanctioned. So, what is an unsanctioned lights out steel cage?
That is, when you said that at first, I was trying to envision. I don't think I've ever heard of such. That is a very unique. Sometimes I feel like they just kind of put stuff together. They're like, just adding cage, lights out, unsanctioned on a Saturday. What else?
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up here. They released the trailer for the Vince McMahon documentary coming to Netflix on the 25th. So less than 3 weeks until that. Other than that, I can't think of anything more. If I can find it here. Of course, my computer is not only being slow, but I can't find what it actually entails, what the rules are, and I don't know if that's because no one knows what it is, and if Tony Khan is just, like you said, just spewing this and doing that.
Oh God, Jeff, I was thinking about that too. That Mountain Dew dark match, but we're not. We're not gonna rest in peace, right? But that was a unique. What do they call that? What's that called? Not a gimmick match, but like what's that called? A themed. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a not a gimmick. It's not a stip. I get that. I was thinking of a more campy word. I can't think of it right now. It's late, y'all. But it was a unique match. It was unique. I think that was the first time we saw Uncle Howdy in a match. Like he jumped off and jumped through something. It was a long time ago, but it was neither here nor there. It was a lot of unique things happening then. But yes, we We don't want to give y'all too much fatigue because we have, like you said, a lot of content coming up this weekend. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget to, okay, all things. We're going to like, we're going to follow, we're going to
Yeet,
subscribe, we're going to
yeet,
share. You're
yeet,
going to like Travel Rain
yeet,
Media. You're going to like, follow, and share Sleeper Sports Media.
yeet,
And you're going to like, follow, and share Martina Talks Wrestling. I'm like, why do I always
yeet.
stumble with the name of my own channel? Like, I get everybody's channel and then mine. I'm like, oh, yeah, Martina Talks Wrestling. Yes, everybody like, follow, and share. Not only us, but others in the chat as well. I know in the chat I saw Combat Jones has Ringside Renaissance, which is a fantastic channel. Monj has fantastic predictions. He has a blog. We have a lot of other great content creators in here as well. Like and follow each other because honestly, I know for myself, I get a lot of my updates from my followers, from my fans, followers, supporters. We appreciate you all. Thank you all for being here. And for those that are watching this later, don't forget to comment and let us know your thoughts on what we're talking about. If there's topics that you would like to see or things that you have questions about or that you would like to see us cover, please feel free to let us know. And that's about all I have. How about you, Nick? I'll toss it over to you.
Yeah, that's gonna pretty much wrap it up. This episode of the Bloodline Breakdown. Get on over to the TV and watch the rest of the opening night of the NFL season. I cannot wait. I thought WrestleMania season was crazy and insane, but the NFL is kicking off. We got wrestling that goes all year round, and we're getting to another busy part of the year with the switching of networks and everything. And then, of course, WNBA is coming into the playoffs, and I got posts going crazy. Needle mover stuff, I guess you could say, with Caitlin Clark, with Roman Reigns. So that's going to be a lot. My Facebook isn't listed here, but you can go see that the Caitlin Clark and the WNBA stuff on Facebook. We're also live on Twitch and then Twitter's as well. So YouTube, Twitch, Twitter's, Facebook, all of that. We are gonna wrap it up here. Go watch the rest of the Thursday night NFL kickoff, and then of course be back tomorrow night for SmackDown and Final Bell. And with that, we are finally rolling on out of here. Thank you again for watching. Peace.